It is exactly 36 minutes past the hour. Welcome back to Sunday Live here at Citizen Television. On to our feature of the evening. And as the world marks 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, teenage pregnancies and access to maternal health care for adolescent girls remains a challenge.
New data released today, covering months between January and October this year, has shown that 1 out of 8 adolescent girls are either pregnant or have given birth, sounding the alarm over the rising numbers of teenage pregnancies.
So let's talk about teenage pregnancies for a second. New statistics by the Ministry of Health released on Tuesday this week show that in the last 1 year, on average, 98 new HIV infections were recorded every single week among adolescents of ages, get this, 10 to 19 years. This, they say, has been caused by the triple threat of new HIV infections, gender and sexual violence, and adolescent pregnancies, as Kenya remains the third highest country worldwide with teenage pregnancies, where 1 in every 5 adolescent women aged 15 to 19 are already mothers or pregnant with their first child.
Kenya is the world's 48th largest country with a population of more than 47.6 million citizens, according to the 2019 census. This makes it the 29th most populous country in the world. Kenya boasts of many things. Our constitution is considered one of the most progressive in the continent. Our military happens to be one of the strongest in the region and has brought stability to many war-torn countries. Our scholars have helped solve complex situations across the globe. Our athletes have dominated the world's sports scene for decades, and our internationally acclaimed artists have performed on almost every world stage. But even with these achievements, one thing threatens the social-economic progress of our country: teenage pregnancy. You see, teenage pregnancy has been a thorn in the flesh for many Kenyan families since time immemorial. However, during the COVID-19 pandemic, the Ministry of Health recorded numbers never heard of before. You will even think that they've made them up. Over a period of 3 months during the COVID-19 lockdown, 152,000 Kenyan teenage girls became pregnant, marking a 40% increase in the country's monthly average. These numbers shocked everyone and prompted the president to speak up about it, making it the first time in history for a sitting president to raise an alarm on teenage pregnancies.
How do we allow people to go around impregnating young girls and we don't speak about it? People must be disciplined and do what they are supposed to be doing. Ile naona natembea akiongea hiyo ndio kuonesha kuna serikali. Sio kwenda kupembeleza kila saa. Unasimama naonesha kuna serikali hapa.
Public health officials and women rights advocates were worried and complained that the ongoing pandemic was delaying an adequate response to a growing sexual reproductive health crisis. The collateral damage of taking that kind of approach was when the government shut down these routine services. We saw an increase in maternal and child death from preventive causes. Joyce Sitati, who is now a university student, was a victim of teenage pregnancy.
I am Sitati Joy, a student at the Multimedia University of Kenya.
How old are you?
I'm 22 years old. Let me say the first serious relationship, or not serious, I was in Form 3. That was in 2017. I fell in love, and I fell in love with a boy who was, I guess, in second year. My mom knew him, though my dad did not know him, because my dad was a bit strict. I was raised in a religious background. Now, it was a coincidence that his parents, babake was also a pastor. So what mostly brought us together were church activities. That is where we met with his family. They came together, we met up, my sisters, they knew him. It was just fun, but mostly church activities. The first person who initiated the first sexual encounter was him. He was the guy. So he told me, we go out, we go for an out. We go mchana on Saturday. My dad was not around and my mom was not around. We went to a club in Mumia. It was my first time ever going to a hotel. Paying for a room. I've never done that ever before. Something I only saw in movies, screens and all that. But what she told me, and it's not going to be, it's not going to be any much serious. It's just about having fun and going back for the moment. Because the moment it happened, but I didn't enjoy. I might say I didn't enjoy. The first time having things, I didn't enjoy it. So one Saturday, I guess after 3 weeks, what had happened, when I talk in that church, then my mom asked me, where are you going to? I told my mom, I'm going to church. And then she asked me, are you okay? I said, yeah, I'm okay. Why? She told me, okay, you go to church, then come back later in the evening because we have to talk. I asked her, why do we have to talk? In African mothers, my mom told me, hizo matiti zako, they're not just okay. Something is a mess. You really have to talk to me. Okay, me upon only. What does my mom want to tell me? My mom asked me, have you had sex? I said no. My mom told me, I'm talking to you like my firstborn and like my small sister. So I said, Mom, I've not had sex with anyone. My mom told me it's a lie. According to the way nakuona, you're pregnant and you don't want to tell me. Hey, they came with the pregnancy kit. Okay, I guess my mom is so brave. You're not going to test this away from me. You're doing it right here. So I head to Kapima. It came out positive to mine. Mama wangu akaniambia, imesoma lines mbili. What do you have to say? This one is a positive result. I was shocked. I didn't know what to do. I'm the first boy.
Joy's story is similar to thousands of other girls who were abused by adults well known to them. The tough economic times during and after the COVID-19 pandemic has rendered many families hopeless and exposed them to poverty and homelessness. Many parents have been forced to take up 2 or more jobs in a day so as to provide for their families. This means that young children are left home with no one to look after them, and thus exposing them to peer influence and sexual predators, all which have catastrophic results.
From the COVID period up to now, people lost their job. They are right now, they haven't gone back to our economic setting with high cost of living in most of the people. So if I'm looked at some drop off of schools and are doing a lot of labor as jobs, being exploited here and there, and others are also doing sexual practices so that they can get something to live on. Yeah. Another thing that has contributed to the increase is there is no comprehensive sexual education in our schools. And another thing mostly that comes from my region and other pastoralist economies are increasing early marriages. Yeah. Even the other day I rescued one of my cousins who was getting married at the age of 13. So it's something that hasn't reached there yet, but there is a lot of increase that has been experienced from the year 2020 up to now.
I would say there are many players in this. We say when you bring up a child, there are many systems, what we call socialization agents. And the first one being the family, where you may find if a family is dysfunctional, the parents do not follow up with their children, they don't want to know what their children are doing, or the children are missing basic needs. They are tempted to go out of the home, out of the family circles, to look for what is going to help them meet their basic needs. The other socialization agent is the school. I think now, if you look at our curriculum, we are more focused on performance than growing the full human being. And for me, I believe education should be holistic. There is a way we are pretending we don't want to talk about sex, and we are sexual human beings. So lack of adequate, relevant information surrounding sex and sexuality has led very many girls in schools, basic education, primary and secondary schooling, to actually learn themselves into what you sometimes can say inappropriate sexual behavior. And by doing so, they don't know how to protect themselves. They don't know how to prevent pregnancy. You will find them pregnant. I don't know how we are looking at teenage pregnancy. Are we looking at it as a moral issue, or we are looking at it as something that is normal to happen in an African continent, because it's where we have the highest number of teenage pregnancies? So you find that in the society, if an adult who is an adult by the legal structures in this country impregnates a girl who is underage, and so long as there is no one who is fighting for this girl, these people can buy their way out, and especially if she comes from a poor family background. We also have the community leaders compromising in these situations. The local chiefs, some of them, not all of them, they agree that these people can settle this matter at home. And finally, I can say, well, the social media. No, there's a lot of stuff that is actually making young people get tempted to engage in sex because of what they are seeing. But there are those who get pregnant because they are abused. And those that are abused, it's even worse because it's very traumatic. So you may find them psychologically avoiding and denying they are pregnant. We have seen girls who have accepted now they are pregnant when they are taken to maternity ward. Some continue with denial even when the child is born. They don't breastfeed the child. They have nothing to do with that child. That is high-level avoidance, and it is one of the responses to traumatic experiences.
Gender-based violence involves a wide range of agents, from intimate partners and family members to strangers and institutional actors such as teachers, pastors, office managers, and police. The most common form of gender-based violence mentioned by women includes inflicting bodily harm, physical assault, verbal abuse, and rape. The most fundamental cause of GBV is the traditional belief about men's dominance over women. Between January and February this year, 3,196 cases of sexual gender-based violence were reported amongst girls aged between 12 to 17 years old. Many of these victims are left with scars that will last them a lifetime, thus affecting their mental wellness. Suicide was the fourth leading cause of death in 15 to 19-year-olds for both sexes, with the number of deaths being relatively similar between females and males in this age group.
Pregnancy is a normal state where a woman feels happy that they're pregnant, but for them there's always a shock. They did not expect that. It's always a shock. Anything had an involvement in that bag for just that once or twice. It's just a shock for them. So they won't be happy about it, yeah. And when you're not happy with something, what happens? You try to have a negative attitude toward that thing. Okay? So mostly you find these kids aren't chased, number one. Remember, they have been chased from their home. Okay? Nobody in their family is accepting the pregnancy. She's the only one who has to carry the burden. Even the boyfriend had disappeared. They have blocked them. Even she doesn't know where the boyfriend is living. He asks. Okay? So she's alone. She's anxious. She doesn't know what to do. Maybe she has even been rescued. Okay? You've been brought to you by the rescue people who rescue kids. One of the children protection services. So she's mostly anxious and depressed. Okay? So combine those symptoms and other symptoms of pregnancy. Such a person will have lack of sleep, lack of appetite in the first time of their pregnancies. Yeah, and when you combine that with pressures that they will get during the course of pregnancy, and they don't know what they will have in the future. Yeah, there was this kid I saw. She has been chased by the grandmother. She's living with the rescue home. She doesn't know what will happen to her. So she's depressed and anxious. She's crying every minute. Yeah. So for such a patient, person on a matter, mostly in the next term, when you combine stressors in normal pregnancy, in a mother, a woman like me who cannot bear stressors like that, you can get other complications like puerperal depression, puerperal blues, puerperal psychosis even. So psychology, mental health in such teenage pregnancies is a very key factor in their physical health, combining together with the mental health.
One of the things that we do, especially if, for example, a teenage girl has been tested positive for pregnancy, immediately we do what we call psychological debriefing. And in that psychological debriefing, we try to bring them from the state of helplessness and hopelessness to a state of thinking straight. The other thing that they deal with is denial. So we help them to accept. It's hard, by the way, but the truth is they are pregnant. Once they accept, we start asking them, what do you see your life becoming going forward? And we like it when, for example, it is in the first trimester, because we are able to help them to accept that pregnancy. We are able to help them access the maternity, the prenatal services that they can get from the health center or the hospitals. We are also able to retain the people that can work with them during this trying moment. We are also to talk to schools, especially if the pregnancy is really not is not that mature. And so we talk with the schools, and we can see maybe at this point you can release it. Some we talk and plan the whole pregnancy, how you're going to finish and maybe go back to school. So psychological support is not just settling their mind, but also putting them in a roadmap where they can bounce back and move on with their lives.
Mostly when you see them, you just see a child. That's the first thing I see. A child whose dream has been shattered at once. That's what I see. But this is a child who will not have the right to become a child ever. That is a child who will become a young mother. So the right of being a child is a no for her. Number two, is a child, I'm sure, in 90% or 95%, most of them will go back to school. So the right of education of this child is tampered with. Okay? So another thing I think this child is the right of her to dream. She will not dream. Whatever she used to dream, she wanted to become maybe a pilot. It's ended at that time. Okay? So for me, I think mostly a child. And at that time, I'd feel, you just feel sad. Yeah, when you see such a situation.
In your opinion, who is to blame?
I'll blame one, the parent. That's going to be the main person that I'll blame. Because when we're in this age, when you were a teenager, when I was a teenager, most of the people need that parental love. And most of our parents are not involved directly with the kids, and they don't talk to them. They don't want to show them about them. They mostly tell you go to school, if that's it. They're not taking the responsibility of teaching you on sexual education, which is part of their role. Yeah. So you find these parents, most of the time when they get these kids that they are mostly in the dark. All the time they're in the dark. So they hear they are pregnant, that's when they are in the light. And that's when they get involved in their kids' life. And at that time, they chase them away. The first thing they will do, they will blame the teenager for getting pregnant, number one. Number two, they will chase them away. Yeah? That is what is happening in our society right now. So for person, I believe is the parent. And the most time when you talk to these kids, I call them kids because they're children, yeah? They haven't grown up. So when you talk to them, you find also in their household, there's a lot of unresolved issues. If you're trying to probe them further on how they got pregnant, you find them cry most of the time when you mention about the parent. So for me, I'll always blame the parent, not even the child, not the government, because the parent is involved directly with this child.
Religious organizations across the country, led by the Catholic Church, have for many years been against the introduction, promotion, and use of contraceptives among the Kenyan population. They have cited numerous times that the use of contraceptives will encourage the youth to engage in more sexual activities before marriage.
We view this agenda as an intent to corrupt our young people and enslave them to foreign ideologies, for example, same-sex union.
Kwa hivyo tunawaambia hatuwataki, na kama unafikiri fedha zao ndizo zitasaidia, tunasema wakae nazo. Tumwambia we want to march even to the airport. They say come. We tell them we don't need you here.
Currently, we have no policies on contraceptive use towards teenagers. If you go and research only, there are no policies. that kids are learning on how to give contraceptive or not to do contraceptive. Yeah. Remember, a teenager cannot consent to a sexual intercourse. Okay? That's why you find most of the time when you indulge in sexual activity to a minor, it's a criminal offense. So when contraception is given, it will contradict these things. Yeah. Another thing is also a debatable topic. The culture we come from, the religious background we come from, okay, they will not accept contraceptive being used to teenagers. Okay, so it's always a controversial topic per se in the productive hand compared to cultural, compared to religious on how to sell or even to give contraceptive to teenagers. Yeah. Yeah. For others, people like us in universities and colleges, you find them there, even condoms are everywhere, but you can't take condoms to secondary schools. It's a controversial topic, yeah.
Very controversial.
Why are you giving them contraceptives before you educate them on how they should handle themselves sexually? Maybe I would call it a moral, a family-based issue, and probably talking from my space, I don't know your space. For me, I'm like, why can't I be trained? Why can't I be taught to take control of my own body instead of allowing external factors to come and control me?
They say that every town has a hero. And in the slums of Mathare, one man by the name of Eric Omwanda is a hero to many young boys and girls. Seeing how early pregnancy ruined the lives of many girls, Eric took it upon himself to set a foundation that provided education and opportunities to young girls so as to keep them occupied after school and during the holidays. Eric's organization has been able to reach hundreds of girls and has changed their lives for the better through various ways.
Basically, the Motherhood Foundation is a community-based organization, a charity that trains and creates opportunities for young people in Mathare slums who are between the age of 6 to 16 and 16 to 25. We have activities in photography, performing arts, that's music, dance, film production, and sports, mainly football. The main challenge has always been having sufficient or enough resources to implement the different projects that we undertake. The community has been very supportive, and that is by the fact, due to the fact that we are all coming from this community. They have seen us quite a long time, so it's easier to implement projects. Of course, the projects that we're implementing are in place to support the young people. Unit pregnancy has been contributed one by the fact that there's a lot of these guys who are, call them border guys, all they've been taking advantage, and because they give free rides, maybe in exchange of sanitary pads and other favors. So that is a contributor, that is one. And also school dropout. When the girls are out of school, then it means they are not busy. Yeah. So they end up engaging in premarital sex. Yep. And then sports is a tool to mobilize them, but there are other things that you do with them. It comes to mentorship, leadership, blah 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 blah. So first we look at what do these young people really love. But there are other young people who are very talented and they've shown some resilience. So the only way to get around them is to offer them what they like to do. So that's why we chose the two, like the arts and sports. What needs to be done more is make sure that there is available resources. You see, when there are resources, that is human resource, we'll be able to achieve more and more.
ACT is a good platform to talk about sexual education. ACT is in different forms, yeah. There's music arts, there's creative arts, yeah. So in whatever we have in the society right now on fun music art is not helping us with that. Also, they're promoting sexual explicit things. But the people who are teaching our kids on sexual education and our parents teaching them on sexual education. That's not what is happening, yeah. So it's good for our music to be good in in teaching our young community on sexual education. It's easier for them to get the relation between getting a music that you can vibe through, but a music that can teach you. Another thing on creative, on drawing and on picture, it's easier to portray 1,000 messages per drawing, 1,000 messages that can be understood. It's easier for you to interpret something that you can see than something that that is written or something that is taught. Okay, something that you can see is easier for you to remember also. Okay, to internalize and remember. So I think arts, it's also a platform for sexual education in an easier way, other than talk like face to face and talking one on one. I think arts can simplify things, and are things that somebody can picture into and relate into, other than verbal communication. And also another thing of this, music is also a form of art. So a music that can be understood by the teenagers, and music that the teenagers can relate to,
believe in arts, and I believe that it can really change, and it can really help reduce the number of unwanted pregnancies and the number of teenage pregnancy, because I think it shouldn't do much than just doing right now, despite the fact that it's the performing arts and all that. It should really engage in activities that can help. But some things like campaigns, it is, that's not it's not just a shallow name. Kenyan universities performing arts is a very classic name. It's a very classic organization. It's a very classic thing that they should organize campaigns just to help the girl child.
Wewe msichana, wewe unakuwa mchinga, unatungwa mimba, dakika mwisho unaitwa mtumba, unatubwa na yule kijana na yule chama anachiendea. Wewe ni mchinga. Na mimi ningependa kuwauliza, nani mwenye nguvu? Mwenye kuombwa au mwenye kuomba? Sasa kama wewe msichana ndio unaombwa, si ukatae, si uambie chama yuko hapa, lakini wewe silamba, kwani yeye ako ni shareholder. Yeye si shareholder. Ningependa kuuliza wewe msichana ukiwa mahali pa, kaa naye ni yako, na yenye mwanaume ako naye ako ni yake. So wachana kukua mchinga na kununuliwa na kangumu. Hayu watu wa kangumu. Au mtu anakuendesha, anakukimbiza na pikipiki, mpaka mtu anasema sasa sijui nitafanyia nini. Utafanyia nini namna gani mpaka unawacha maisha yako na inaisha? Ningependa kuomba mtoto msichana ya kwamba uweze kujitunza na kutunza sexuality yako, na utafika mbali katika maisha. Kwa sababu yende mbali, waje niwaambie ni wasichana, hata value yake haiteremuki, kwa sababu mama ya mwaka 60 temperature bado ni ile ile. So wacha ni kukimbilia na kukula vitu mbichi kama vile nilikuwa nimesema. So naomba ya kwamba tuweze kujitunza, na watu wasema pia tuweze kutunza watoto wetu wadogo.